nice.
Cheers.
Alright, howdy everyone. Today we'll just be going through data prep for machines and controllers. We'll be going through the whole process of obtaining data from the client and putting it into TBC, having a look at it, make sure that it's correct, creating some surfaces and some designs and the project, and then putting it into our machine. Alright, let's get started. So first off, I've just loaded up TBC. This is the first page that gets loaded up when you're in it, and we'll just go new project, and I always go metric. You can choose whichever one you like, but I just prefer metric, so we'll just go OK. And just takes a little time to load. Alright, so we'll just start off with what we're looking at here. So at the bottom we've got a grid. So if you just want to get straight into actually doing data prep and not worry too much about everything else, we can go grid. So grid allows you to change your coordinate system. So depending on where you are, you'll need to change it. So I'm in Christchurch in New Zealand, so we'll just go change. And then we can go coordinate system and zone, and then down here we can scroll down to NZGD 2000. This is a New Zealand one. There's a few of them. If you don't know which one you're supposed to be using, always ask your client. It's fail-safe pretty much if you do that. And then in New Zealand we've got Mount Pleasant 2000, so we can just go next. We've got geoids and no geoids. If you know the geoid that you want, select it. There is a bunch of different geoids that you can use. So if we have a look here, we've got a whole bunch of them in New Zealand. You have to select the correct one. If you select the incorrect one, it's just not going to work properly, and you're going to have a lot of issues. Some of them are 100 mils out in height compared to each other, so you wouldn't really know that you've selected the wrong one. So you just have to make sure that you have selected the correct one. If you're always unsure, just select no geoid. You'll potentially find that your height's out by about 10 to 30 meters, depending on where you are, if you don't have a geoid. And then that will straight away tell you that you need a geoid, and then you'd ask your client for one. So we can go finish on that, and we'll just go OK. Alright, so we can have a look here. If you're ever unsure on what your northings and eastings are, you can just, by moving the mouse up and down, you can have a look that you've got your northings on the left there, which is 800,000, and your eastings at the bottom, so 400,000. It just makes it a little bit easier when importing points and data. Alright, so I've got some control information here and some line work, some designs, and I've also got a topographical survey that we can throw in there as well for volume reports. But we'll just be focusing on doing data prep today. Alright, so we'll just start in by throwing in the control points. So we can just click on it and drag and drop. Alright, so it just brings up the import editor, and we can have a look here straight away that we've got a control and unknown. So you'd use control for control points. It makes it so that you can select those points as control for your project, and unknown would be a topographical point. So if you don't want it as control, you'll select unknown, so manhole for example. Alright, so once we've done that, we can have a look down here and we can see that our eastings are saying 800,000 and northings are 400,000, so we just need to switch those around. So we can just go down to this option down here. So all of these are given to you by Trimble as well. And we can see we've got point ID, northings, eastings, elevation, and feature code. So we can just click import. Alright, so we've got our control in here. It goes automatically to the points layer. So if we click on one of these points and go properties, right click properties, we can have a look that it's in the layer good points. So we want to put it in a control points layer to make it easier to select them in the future. So we can select all of those, go to layers. So you can hit the down arrow, you go new layer, or you can just hit spacebar. Spacebar creates a new layer for you, and you can just type in control points. And then TBC automatically saves everything, so we can just go close. You would still have to save your job to get the correct name at the top. So if we wanted to save it, we can do. I'm not going to at the moment, I'll do it later. Alright, so we've got our control points in there, so we can turn those off if we want to, just by clicking on control points. I'll turn them off for now. I'm just going to bring in all my data first before we have a look at it. So next one I'll bring in is the line work, so just same thing, click and drag and drop. Now it comes up saying in this situation there are 44,000 errors. If I click yes, my computer's not that flash, so it would crash it. So I'm going to hit no, but in short the errors are, since this was created in Civil 3D for example, and it's bringing it in, it's got different line work, so it's setting it to a value of 1, which is like a solid line for example. So unless it can match it, it will just set it to default settings. You can have a look at the reports and you'll see straight away what I mean, but that report will take 30 minutes for me to load up on my PC currently. I'll just go now. Alright, so we can see here that we've got our line work in here, so I'm just going to select this. This is the plot from AutoCAD, and we'll just click Control D to delete it. You can right click and go delete as well if you want to. Alright, last one to bring in is the surface. So same thing, just click and drag. Alright, there we go. So we've got our surface in here now. We can see all our layers on the left side. Generally before doing anything, I prefer to go to Data Prep, which is the button at the top up here, and then Project Cleanup. So Project Cleanup allows you to pretty much get rid of all the unnecessary layers, duplicate lines, line vertices, and just a whole bunch of information that you don't really need. It joins up lines together, so if you had a whole bunch of Becker curve lines that were just a single line from one point to the next point, it would join them all up and make one line, nice line. Does quite a lot for you. Definitely recommend playing around with it. It's also useful for if you want to send data to clients. You can use this and it will just remove all the layers so that you don't send all the unnecessary stuff to your client as well. Yeah, definitely have a play around with this. You can choose current selections, so let's say you wanted to remove lines that were 1 meter long in an area, you can just go current selection, select the lines, and then remove 1 meter ones. For today we're just going to remove anything that's less than a millimeter. Go apply. We can see here that my data is quite good. There's a couple of unused layers that have been removed, and 16,000 vertices were also removed. So vertice is a height along a line. So if you have a couple of heights in between 2 points that are on the same grade change, or the same grade, it will just remove the points in between, make it a little bit nicer, less clunky. Sweet, so once we've done that, we've got our nice line work here. So I'm just going to have a look at it. So I mean, we can zoom in and click on it and see what each one is able to do. So this one's got a height of 0, and look at it that way, or we can have a look at it in 3D. So we can go home and then 3D view at the top. And then with our middle mouse we can move it around to have a look at what's going on. And this is really good to see if there's any spikes, any unusual things happening with your surface or design, or even your line work. And you can have a look to see what's going on. It does look quite flat, so you can't really see the elevation change in the road and everything that is happening. We can also see here that the property information is on height 0, so just for this purpose I'm going to turn that off. Alright, so now we have just our surface in here. Well, not our surface, it's more triangles at the moment, so if we click on one, just come up as a 3D face. If you hold down Control and Shift, you can exaggerate your surface as well, so you can have a look at it a little bit better and see what's going on. You can see the vertical exaggeration on the side there, so we're at pretty much a 1 in 10. It's a 1 in 11 right now. But it gives you a good indication as well to see where there might be some holes in your line work or surface. Alright, so I mean the surface looks like it's matching the line work quite well, so I'm just going to turn all these triangles into a surface. So I'm just going to close it down, and we go to the surface tab. So in the surface tab we go create. So everything works from left to right. If you don't have a surface, you have to create a surface. So rather than clicking on the little button that says create surface, you have to click on the icon. So in there we'll just call it finished road design. Finished road surface, sorry. Classification. So classification is more for reports rather than actually meaning anything when it goes onto an excavator or a TSC7. So we could just put in their design. You can choose a color for your surface. I'm just going to leave it as grey, and select members. So in here we've got a couple of options. We've got select all, which just selects purely everything that you can visually see. We've got our lot boundaries turned off in our control points, so it won't select those. It just selects what you can visually see. But we can go select by layer. So in here we've got the stage 7 design, so I'm just going to select that. Cool. And we can go close. We can also see that it hasn't included these lines. We can include those lines if we really want to. It will mess up the design a little bit, and would just require more data prep and cleaning up the actual data itself. Whereas if we just use this one, all the triangles, it just makes it a little bit easier, and the surface knows what it wants to do. So we can just go close once we've selected it and go OK. Great, so now we have our surface. We can't visually see it there because it looks exactly like the triangles, so we can just turn off those triangles. There's our surface, so we can click on it and it selects the whole surface. We can have a look at that again in 3D, so just go back to the 3D and hit the little icon. And we can zoom in and we can see the color coding for the grade change or height changes in there as well. There's a couple of things we can do. So let's say you didn't actually like the mesh, you just wanted to see the line work itself. We can go to click the surface, right click properties, and we've got show in plan view and show in 3D view. So we're looking at 3D view at the moment, so we're just going to come in here and we're going to turn off back faces, wireframe, and break lines. And now we can see our surface with the line work on it. You see that there doesn't look too flash, so that might be something that you'd have to fix up. I would recommend that if you are more or less just using TBC for putting data onto a machine and not really designing or changing the design at all, to just notify these as issues and just notify the client and say, hey look, we're still going to use the design, we might work in the south area but we won't work up here until the design's a little bit more what was correct, I guess. And if they say just work anyway, then you can go for it, but it kind of covers your own, covers yourself if you just let them know that you found an issue. And it took me all of 10 seconds really once I created my surface to identify some of the issues. Same thing, if we hold down shift and control, we can have a look at it as an exaggerated form. You can go a bit crazy, it's up to you. If we click on the surface again, we can have a look and show 3D view, and we can put on slope arrows as well. So that's quite nice to see what's happening with water. You can see where it's all going. Easily tell you if there's a whole cluster of arrows pointing in one direction that there's an issue in that spot. But if everything looks nice and how it's supposed to be, then kind of confirm straight away that it's quite good. And we can click on our surface again. And we've also got one here called transparency. So in transparency, if you have a couple of surfaces and you want to be able to visually see them colliding together but seeing both surfaces, you can turn the transparency up, so we can go 50%. And if we had another surface in there, we'd easily be able to see the two surfaces slicing through each other and being able to make one not as visually solid, I guess would be the word. So we click on that, we can change that to 0. Just makes it a little bit easier to see, but I think you get the idea. It's pretty easy to change the transparency on if you really want to. Alright, so now that we've created our surface, we're quite happy with it. We pretty much just need to get it ready for putting into the machine. So the first thing that you need to do is go to construction data. I might just go back to plan view, and we'll just go construction data, and everything works from left to right as well on here. So everything in TBC works from left to right. So we've got controllers. I'll just click on controllers. If you have a TSC7, it will come up as PC. That's the same with a T7 as well, or T10. Anything with a Windows device comes up with the controller PC. So you just need to add the PC if you have one of those controllers. TSC3, you have to plug it into your computer and then sync it up, and that will put a TSC3 up in here as well. With machines, you don't need to worry about creating a machine. You can if you want to, but I wouldn't be too bothered with it. Just go with PC. Once you've got PC in there, you can create it for your Windows device. Cool. And next one is job sites. So job sites is your project pretty much. If you have an earthworks machine, it will be the project name. So in here we might just call this SITECH NZ road project, and then we can just select our controller. So we'll just go PC and go OK. Once we've done that, so to create an earthworks design, all we need to do is go project library, go select, and choose folder. If you have TCC, probably already know how to do this, so we'll just select folder for now, and it's just going to create a SITECH NZ folder for your project library. Project library is what is on the USB stick when you put it into the earthworks machine. Cool, so we've got site settings, so all of these are already set, same with site calibration. So we did the site calibration when we selected Mount Pleasant 2000 through the grid option. If you have a new calibration, you can throw it in there and resolve it. It will just come up saying you have to resolve it, and then it will use that calibration for your project. We have control points now as well, so if we go back to this screen, and we put on our control points, there's a couple of things. So TBC is quite smart as well. Again, if we go select all, it just recognizes the control marks. It's not going to select the line work and edit as control. Then we can go add. So it's come up saying that there's an invalid control point and that you need to fix it. So it's added all of them apart from the one that's invalid. So the one that's invalid is this question mark, and it's just missing some standard information for it to be usable out in the field. I just put it in there more as a example to show that it's not going to put in control data if it's not complete. It has to be complete for it to work. Also, if we go add again, you'll see here that at 0 were added, so it's not going to have duplicate control on there. There you go, OK. I'm not going to bother fixing up that control mark. So sitemap. So sitemap is background information that appears. You can't select it. It will appear on every single one of your designs. So if you have a subgrade design, a finished design, maybe just back a curb design, for example, this sitemap will always be visually on each one, so you can see it. So a good example of what you could use for a sitemap would be the lot information, and then you can identify where you are no matter what design you're using. So we'll just put that information on there as well. So we can just go options, select by layer, and we can choose those ones. So lot 3 and the numbers. We'll just go close and go add, And then if we go add again, 0 were added as they are already included. So we can go OK. And now that there will always be in the background, you will not be able to select any of that information. I'll just make that a little bit clear. So if you're ever out in the field and you can't select something and you want to be able to select it, it's because it's a sitemap. You have to change it and put it into your design. So we have avoidance zones. You can select an avoidance zone if you want to. It will just appear saying you're not allowed in there, or graphically show it on the Earthworks machine or GCS machine or any machine. Feature codes, so you can add in feature codes. I won't go through the process on here today for that, but if you're interested in learning about feature codes, just hit us up. I'm more than happy to help you out. We can go close. So that's it pretty much. So that's all we needed to do was, in short, for an Earthworks machine, project library, put in your control points and sitemap. You probably don't even need to do sitemap if you wanted to include the lot boundaries in your design. So we can just go close. It automatically saves it. Alright, so the next one to do is create design. So we just click create design, and we're going to call this one finish design. So on GCS 900, this will just be the actual design name that you select, will be finish design. It doesn't have that project that we created before. And on Earthworks it will have the project name with finish design, and same with the controller. So we can select PC there and go OK. Once we've done that, we've got model. So model is your surface or line work that you want to select. So we have one surface that we want to use, so we can go surface. Automatically selects the surface. If you have multiple in there, just make sure that you've selected the correct one. You can have road surfaces in there for corridors and using the roading tools on TSC 7s or SiteWorks, for example. I wouldn't worry too much about the name here. It doesn't use this name, it just uses the name up here. We can go OK. Stakeout points. So we can use our control point as stakeout. I don't see the point. But stakeout points would be good for manholes, for example. If you've been given a whole bunch of manholes at invert levels, back of curves, you can add them as a stakeout points if you want to. We don't have anything, so I'm just going to turn off those control points and my layer surface. So we've just got this information here. I might turn off the boundary because we don't need them as well. And we just have our line work. So for design map, we can add in our line work. Let's go options, select all, and add. If you don't have any line work, I know on some machines it doesn't come up with the actual triangles off the surface, so you may want to turn on the actual triangles and add them in the design so that you can visually see whereabouts you are a little bit easier. Purely up to you. And if we go add again, you can see that 0 were added. Alright, so we've just created our surface design and our line work for everything. And now we can just go close. Automatically saves it. Alright, so now we're ready to put it on our USB stick for our machine. Also ran away with my USB stick. Give me 2 ticks. I'll just pretend that we've got one in. Alright, so what we can do next is let's put it on an Earthworks machine. So to do that, we just go publish to library. And we click publish. The design takes a little while to do. Also a couple of other pieces of important information. If it doesn't work here, it's not going to work on the machine, so you'll know straight away before you even go out to the machine that whether or not it's going to work, and you can fix it up. So if you have any red flags on your surface, it will tell you to fix those up before you can actually create the surface for an Earthworks machine. Just give it a minute. Sweet, so it's saying that the following items were published successfully, so that's good. And then to put it onto your USB stick, make sure you put your USB stick in and then go library to USB drive. In this case, we would have to just click on the three dots and then navigate to the USB stick. So I'm just going to go to libraries, documents, and go this. Put it in the documents and then go OK. So now we'll copy it to there. So if we had selected our USB stick, you just select the USB stick. You don't select anything else. And then you just go copy for. And it's on your USB stick in the correct format. So quite literally, if you only have an Earthworks machine, you could take your USB stick out, go out to the machine, and upload it with no issues. If you want to do it for a GCS machine or PCS machine, all you need to do is go to Project Explorer at the bottom left, right click on Job Sites, which is the SITECH NZ row, and go copy field data to USB flash drive. Once you're in here, you can click on Copy Designs to All. If you had have created a controller and added it to the design, it would be in here, but it would have to be the exact name as what the machine is called on your CB460, for example, for it to work. Alright, so once we've clicked Copy Design to All, we can see we can select our different type of controller. We're just going to go with GCS 900 today. We've also got version 13.0, so you just need to make sure that you've got the correct version on your machine. If you have any issues whatsoever with, let's say you do this process, 13.0, your machine's 13.0 and it doesn't work, try 12.4. 12.4, some don't know why, but it's like the answer to almost all issues with designs. So try 12.4 if 13.0 doesn't work. I'd definitely still recommend 13.0, but 12.4 if it doesn't. And then you just choose the correct USB drive on here again, so you select the USB and then go OK. This one takes a little while as well. See that load. Sweet, so that's done. So now you could take out your USB stick, go up to GCS 900 machine, or a CB460, 450, 430, and just plug it in and upload the design, and it should just work. If you have any issues, just feel free to contact support. Or try the 12.4. Definitely try the 12.4 if it doesn't work. Next thing that we can do is put it onto our controller for a TSC7 or a T7, T10, TSC3. You can create a work order if you want to. You don't have to. If you prefer to create work orders out in the field on the actual day, then you can go for it. But creating a work order in the office is, let's call it instructions. It's good for creating instructions for your workers. So if you have 10 surveys under your belt pretty much and you want them to go out and do different things, rather than actually explaining to them what they have to do every day, you can just send them the data through the internet or through TCC and put it onto their machine, not their machine, their controller, and it will just come up with the instructions. So you could go 1 meter offset from design, and or from back of curb. Select your surface that you want to use, or design, sorry. So we can select the design, put in there 1 meter if you want to, and we can just go OK. Once we've done that, we can go Office Synchronizer. Currently have nothing connected, but you just connect up your USB into this, and then hit the little green button that says synchronize, and it'll put it onto the USB stick so that you can then go out into the field, or just have the controller next to you, plug it in, and just do the same process of using Office Synchronizer to put it onto the controller, and vice versa, bringing the data from the controller onto the computer as well, so you can relook at it. That's pretty much the data processing side of things for getting the data from the client, setting up TBC correctly by using the grid button at the bottom, and setting your coordinate system to creating a project or surface first, and then going to construction data, creating your project, and then your design. So you would then create multiple designs. You can only have one job site per TBC project. So if I click on job site again, it will come up saying that we've got our existing one here that we can use. If we go create designs, it will come up saying that you can create a new design, so we could call this one subgrade, for example. Select our controller, go OK. And then we'll have to put in the correct surface stakeout point and design map. Yeah, that's pretty much data processing in a nutshell. Any questions? Can't unmute anyone, or here we go. Let's phrase it. Is there an option to show contours? Yep, there is. So if we go back to here, we can go surface, put our surface on. I do prefer looking at it in 3D. Go surfaces. A quick note as well, if you're using dual screens and you want to be able to see, for example, the plan view and 3D view in one go, you can just right click and go float view, and then you can move that to another screen, and then if you do any changes on here, it changes it on both. So they still work exactly the same as if you had each one individually, but that there just enables you to put it onto another screen, and then you can double click and you'll have that over the whole other screen as well. If you prefer to have it back over here, you can just right click on it and go unfloat view. You can also go horizontal view as well if you want to. Just go like that. Alright, so contours. So we can just click create contours. It is quite fiddly, and you probably have to play around with this a little bit just so you can get the labeling correct. But it's definitely well worth it, especially if you don't have any line work and you just kind of want to see what's going on as well. So we can go contour interval, 0.1 of a meter. Make sure that you put it on a layer called contours. And then go close. So you can label the end of the contours if you want to. Distance between labels, I'm going to go 30 meters. And go OK. If we go back to plan view, and we can see our contours in there. I might just turn off the. There we go. Just needed to refresh. So those labels there's quite a few of them. I'll just delete them. There we go. So you can see the contours that you've added, and then from that you can then put them into your design as well for your machine, and so you can see what it looks like a little bit better as well. Just a quick little tip or trick as well. So let's say you wanted to see if everything was actually in the correct layer. Just start off by clicking 0 at the top, and then you'll see a little orange button at the top that says isolate layer, so we can click on that. And then using your up and down arrows, you can go through each layer and actually see what's on it. If you've got a lot of information, it takes a little while to load. And we can go through each one, see what's happening. You might go, oh man, I don't want that one there, so you can right click and go properties, and you can change its layer to that one, for example. Then you can just continue moving down. There it is there. And then once you're finished having a look or sorting out everything that you need to, you can just unclick the isolate layer and it brings back all your other layers. Anything else anybody would like me to go over? It doesn't necessarily have to be the data prep. Or anything surface related? No worries, Lawrence. Cheers, Mark. Alright, well, everybody have a good day and stay safe.